Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Jon Pethke. He's the CEO of Introvert and he's the co-founder of CoyAmore, and it's a dating app for introverts. So I'm always interested in technology, how you can serve as a marketplace for connections, in this case, relationships. And I'm really excited to talk to entrepreneurs, especially tech entrepreneurs. So, Jon, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Chris. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Um, Tell people about your story, your background, what was the impetus, and I'm really excited to delve into your actual work that you're doing.
Yeah, I am a U.S. Air Force veteran. I got out in 2014. Went to school for surgical technology. Wasn't into that, so I went back for my bachelor's in organizational leadership. And then I started working in management roles. And Now I'm an internal auditor for American Family Insurance, and I work part-time at a local college teaching about small business development to veterans. And then I'm currently in the middle of my master's for sustainable management. So last year, I was in like a comfortable spot with life in general. And, I was in my office talking to some colleagues about dating and dating apps. And I mentioned, I wish there was like a dating app for introverted people. To help them out, and one of them was like, well, why don't you make it? And I don't know anything or I didn't know anything about business at the time, but I thought I'd look into it, and I found that there wasn't really anyone catering to that niche very strongly, so I thought I'd take a shot at it. And uh, I found a development company to partner with that's local out of Milwaukee, and we started developing it in May of 2022, and we released it in May of this year, 2023. So yeah, that's kind of like how that all started.
Yeah, interesting. Because I really, the more I pass through, it's kind of like you have these like new inconveniences or frustrations or huge pain points, and it's kind of like you're kind of toying and tinkering, experimenting with different solutions to kind of address these problems. And so, one thing that is so I've been reading this great book called The Cold Start Problem, and it's talking about the problems with achieving network effects with these marketplaces. Could be Airbnb, Uber, Coinbase, Robinhood, all these. So kind of talk about your challenges with it's easy to start it, but to get both buyer and seller and buy-in, and kind of to grow that and create a network effect, word of mouth. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'd say that is the most difficult part I've had to come up with so far, or just and to meet. And I'm currently in the middle of that. So like I said, we released it in May. It is now October. We've got 230 some users in the United States. It is a United States based app, and I'd say that is like my biggest problem is like getting people to know about it, or how to do that without unlimited amounts of money, because I'm bootstrapping it, so I don't have like a huge marketing budget for this. So I'm exploring a lot of different routes. I have someone that manages the social media. I'm working with an influencer, and I'm doing some very like guerrilla based marketing. Once a month, I'll travel to a new city and just like post up flyers in the area. That way, I can try and at least start in one area. But I don't have a lot of money to market it. So I'm really trying to explore as much as I can. These podcasts are great. This is um, the fourth one I've done in a week. I've got another one tomorrow, so I'm trying to grind however I can. I've got a meeting in a couple weeks with a marketing company that I might want to work with. So I'm exploring a lot of options for marketing, but I'm not like committing to a lot because I want to understand as many options as I can.
Yeah. Um, yeah, which is interesting. One question I have for you is how is you got Tinder, Bumble, I don't know, you got Grind, think like Grind or something, but
Mhm.
and or Match as well. How is CoyAmore different from all these, other apps that kind of are at scale now?
Yeah, so it's different in a few ways, right? So like I would say like when you look at Tinder or Hinge or Match or eHarmony, Plenty of Fish, they all kind of cater to the masses. Like they're trying to get as many users as possible, which makes sense. Like they don't have a direct niche. Maybe they have a stigma behind them, or they have like a call to action that might be a little bit different. But in the end, they're trying to get as many users as possible, and that makes sense. In order to be successful in this industry, you need or newly acceptable. Newly successful, you need to come up with a niche that is like that's strong and that people want. So, Bumble, for example, they're clearly catering to women. Grinder caters more to the LGBTQ. In For CoyAmore, we cater to introverted people, and that is a large niche. It's estimated that 50% of the United States population self-identifies as an introvert, or at least strongly more towards that realm. Um, so we're different in that way, in that our niche isn't, there isn't an app out there at this time that's like, we're the dating app for introverts. We are trying to beat that, and that's what we will be. So apart from that, as the dating app for introverts, we hope, the concept of if you build it, they will come is a part of that. We want to have a community, but we can't just do that without changing things a little bit. The app operates very similarly to other dating apps, and the things we do differently are we want to have more features that cater to introverts. So I'd say a lot of the mainstream dating apps, with the fact that they do try and bring in like as many users as possible, the extroverted community usually ends up on there more than the introverted community, and I think part of it is because not all introverts want to date extroverts.
Mhm.
Um, Plenty do, opposites attract, and we feel the same way. We definitely want extroverts on our app. But apart from that, I think a lot of introverts won't join traditional dating apps because they're flooded with an extroverted community. So that's one part of it. Another part, we want to have features that cater to them. Our blind date feature is currently our most prominent feature that caters to them. And that when two users match and start chatting, there's a toggle option that lets the app know, like if one user toggles it on, it lets the app know they're ready to go on a date with the other person, but it doesn't let the other person know until they also toggle it on. And then once both do, the app will let them know that they also want to go on a date with each other. So it's like a second layer of matching that takes away the fear of asking somebody out. So those are the kind of things we want to incorporate into it. I've been interviewing a lot of people lately about their dating experiences to better understand their pain points. And one of the biggest pain points that comes up is engagement, and the struggles that go with that. And I already have like some ideas as to like what I want to do to accommodate that. It's just I can't do them if the app, isn't really going anywhere. So it is an intention to, accommodate that more so. But those are kind of some of the things that make us different. One other thing that doesn't um, really cater necessarily to introverts, but but the general population that I think other apps don't do is that our match algorithm is based on the 5 universal love languages.
Mm.
So I found that a lot of people value that a lot, and we match people based off of what their preference of love languages are.
Yeah. Interesting because as you were describing kind of the differences between and it's really interesting because there's another startup. It was I think it was started by doctors, but it's kind of like social dating for doctors or busy professionals, which is kind of all these like niche introverts as well. And I like how you described it as kind of like the kind of the big ones are for the mainstream, and then then there's kind of niche ones, because if you know a particular slant or preference or whatnot. The other thing that's really interesting is how you describe how you built in features to kind of mitigate some of the awkwardness or you built in these features to kind of smooth over it. For example, like how Airbnb scales like trust and safety, and Uber and all of these, how they kind of make it almost seamless and frictionless using software. That's which is quite interesting. Um, so one thing I want to talk about is what this came to my mind too. What is the how did you come up with the name CoyAmore? What does that mean, or what is the impetus behind that?
Yeah, so when I was thinking about our name change, I couldn't come up with anything that I thought would work, and my brother had mentioned you should try using the word coy because that's synonymous with shy, and I was like, oh, that sounds not bad. And then I thought, I'll tie that together with amore, which is Italian for love, so it's like shy love. It's close enough. I feel like it's close enough that it relates to an introvert. Obviously, not all introverts are just shy, but I think for the most part, people get what we're trying to represent there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the other question is, what kind of safety features or kind of verification? Because in this day and age, you got all these bad actors and weird people, and just kind of people with bad intentions. How do you factor in these safety features?
Yeah, so we're not as advanced as other apps at this time, but we do have the report and block option. So if there's something that's obviously shady or you don't get a good feeling, you have the ability to report and block. Our app is free right now. We're discussing about the concept of having an initial sign up fee. And with that, it's not decided, but if we did that, one high benefit of that is um, there really wouldn't be much for fake profiles because no scam person is going to invest money into that. And it wouldn't be like expensive. It would be strictly just, to kind of avoid those fake profiles. It's a cheap and efficient way to get rid of that, which is like a outstanding problem in almost all dating apps. And I don't really see any other dating apps having a sign up fee. The
Yeah,
hesitancy on our part is people are naturally cheap. So it's if if we make that change and nobody signs up because there's an initial fee, that's going to be an unfortunate thing. So it's an exploratory phase, but it there is a benefit out of it.
hmm. Yeah, yeah. The next question I have is because a lot of these apps and platforms now are using AI and algorithms, kind of like um, for example, like Airbnb and Uber. They have algorithms now kind of matching, and especially social media, kind of these algos connect the content creator with the consumer that wants to see whatever post. Are you using any algorithms or software? I mean, I'm sure it's proprietary, you don't have to, but just kind of
Sure.
talk about the role that of AI that you're using in the match.
Yeah, I would say there's no incorporation of AI at this time. If I were to use it, which I would like to at some point. It would just, another phase of development. What I would use it for is probably something in relation to being like a wingman to who, giving the user support. Everyone likes support, or something along the lines of giving advice and related to if they can observe a user's profile or observe the conversation and provide recommendations to the user. That's how I would use it. But yeah, that's definitely a down the line thing.
Yeah, interesting. The other question I have is kind of as we kind of close is this what features do you hope to incorporate? What's kind of the coolest feature? And the other question is, like, it sounds like extroverts, can they use the app? And what, kind of in that realm.
Yeah, extroverts definitely can use the app. We encourage it because, like I said, opposites attract, and that's a reality. And we want the best match on there. We want to help people connect. I'd say my favorite feature is probably the blind date feature, partially because I came up with it and I think it's a good idea, but also because I think it can help people. The fan favorite thing is the 5 universal love languages. I get a lot of good feedback about that as being incorporated into the algorithm and app. The other part of your question was future features. With this, like, some things are small, right? Like, we want to incorporate into the algorithm. Right now, we don't really have like when you sign up, whether or not you're an introvert or extrovert. So that's an example of like a very small, simple change that we want to have. That way, mostly so extroverts aren't matching with extroverts, because there's plenty of apps out there for that. We don't really need that out of ours. The main thing that I would love to have is added focus on engagement, because I've gotten a lot of good feedback and opinions on what the problems are there, and I have some ideas about how to help people. And honestly, this could be great for on any dating app, but I think introverts specifically, I think we tend to struggle a bit more with that. So I think it would be highly beneficial for them if we can help them learn how to speak to other people, or at least start a conversation.
Yeah. And kind of talk about, as we kind of end, like kind of the success you're seeing, either success stories or great user feedback or increased, traffic usage, and how can people check out your app, check out your work, follow you on social media, etc.
Yeah, we don't have success stories. I would say as per many dating apps, the population is skewed highly. As it's mostly males on there. We have some women, and I would say we have like roughly 230 users in 5 months. I'm not like ecstatic about those numbers, but it goes back to the part of like I can't afford to market it very well right now. So, but feedback wise, negative feedback is just honestly people get on the app and say there's not many users on here. One thing we did to change that, obviously it doesn't help a lot, but it's a step in a direction, is we used to have a mile limiter on there. Like, you could only see people within a certain mile radius. Now you can just see anyone in the United States that's on there. So I chose to get rid of that, so that way people can, when they get on the app, they see that there's somebody on there. But positive remarks, it operates very much like other dating apps. Anyone who's used a dating app, there's no reason they should be confused. It's pretty similar. It's an up down scrolling profile motion, and they like the concept. They love the concept, and they like the uh, love languages part of it.
Mhm.
So, going forward, I'm just hoping I can find some routes for uh, solid marketing purposes. We're considering doing a crowdfunding campaign, so that's more to come there. That would really help with the marketing part of it. So,
Yeah.
and what was your social media, right? We are on the app you can download on Apple or Android. We're on all social media. Not super apparent on TikTok. We are on there though. There's an influencer that I work with out of California, and we've gone through a couple videos so far. So that's really what I use that for, more so as to repost his content.
Mhm.
Um, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, our website, CoyAmore.com. We have a blog, and we release an article every week that's supposed to help people with, dating and tips and such. So that's kind of everywhere we are.
Yeah. And for all the audience out there, let's thank John for coming onto the show. Like I said, I love talking to entrepreneurs, whatever problem there is, kind of creating an like an app or a platform or exchange or marketplace to kind of connect people to solve real world problems. And so I love talking to entrepreneurs. And all of John's resources will be in the links and show notes. Fascinating discussion. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Christopher. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate it.